having gotten to witness Josh Hokit versus Curtis Blades happen in real time is the only thing that is keeping me from committing seppuku after watching my bro Yuri Prohaska get slimed out by Carlos, the former male stripper Ulberg, in the main event of UFC 327 because Yuri wasn't willing to take an easy W. And while Josh Hokit is corny, annoying, and probably has a hidden Reddit account where he is a top contributor to r/trans girls, there is no denying now after UFC 327 that he is not just one of the biggest personalities in the sport right now, but one of the most fun fighters to watch as well. And while you may hate him, there is no denying that the heavyweight division needs Josh Hokit right now. And in this video, we will be going over how the corniest man in the entire sport will save the UFC's worst division. Now, starting off with the absolute state of the UFC heavyweight division, we all know it is an absolute and unmitigated disaster. Sure, we have Alex Pereira moving up to fight Ciryl Gane for the interim heavyweight title, but let's be honest, Alex Pereira probably has 3 or maybe 4 fights left at the very most. He is going to be 39 when he fights Ciryl Gane. And yeah, sure, you can be effective at heavyweight while being an older fighter, but there's no denying that a fighter is going to be out of his prime when he is in his literal 40s. So, while there's going to be a lot of hype for Alex Pereira moving up to heavyweight and chasing a 3rd belt, which, by the way, will cement him as higher on the GOAT list than Khabib, there really isn't a lot of future potential for the heavyweight division in Alex Pereira. He's going to draw a lot of attention to the division for a year or 2 at the very most, and then he's going to retire. And let's be frank, there's a solid chance that Alex ends up losing to Ciryl Gane, and an even greater chance that Alex ends up losing to Tom Aspinall in a title unification bout. And speaking of Tom Aspinall, well, he does seem to be on the road to recovery from that bad eye poke that ended his fight with Ciryl Gane in a no contest. His future as a fighter is still very uncertain. Since Pereira vs. Gane is booked in July, he's probably going to be returning in October or November at the very earliest to fight the winner of that bout. And look, while both a fight with Pereira and a rematch with Gane are intriguing, especially since there's no doubt that Tom was struggling with Gane up until the eye poke in the round we were able to watch, there just isn't much left for Tom at the top of the division if he is to make it past those 2 guys. And people forget, man, before the Ciryl Gane fight, Tom Aspinall was being hailed as the future GOAT of the heavyweight division. Before Tom even became the undisputed heavyweight champion, he destroyed Curtis Blades, Alexander Volkov, and Sergey Pavlovich with ease. And all of those guys went on to do very well against the rest of the division. There isn't much left for Tom Aspinall if he makes it past the winner of Pereira vs. Gane. Or at least there wasn't until Josh Hokit showed up. Now, do I think that Josh Hokit beats Tom Aspinall? No, I don't. Josh Hokit is a tiny heavyweight. In fact, he lost in college wrestling against Bo Nickel of all people, a guy who himself is on the smaller side for a middleweight. Josh Hokit isn't a true heavyweight. He's really more of a blown-up middleweight than anything. But that's also why he's so good. He's fast, agile, and as we saw in the Curtis Blades fight, incredibly durable. And that makes a fight between him and Tom Aspinall intriguing. Tom Aspinall's greatest asset at heavyweight is his speed combined with his sheer size. Tom is a heavyweight who moves like a middleweight. So now, what happens when Tom Aspinall faces a middleweight-sized guy with an iron chin that he can't just speed mog on the feet? And don't forget that Josh Hokit isn't some guy who Tom could easily double leg and submit either. Hokit is not just a credentialed wrestler, but a guy who is capable of defending takedowns in an MMA context. And he demonstrated that in the Curtis Blades fight, where he didn't give up a single takedown despite being double-legged multiple times by a man who had a 30-pound weight advantage over him. And then, there's the potential build-up for a title fight between Hokit and the winner of Aspinall vs. Pereira. And while this trash talk, if it can even be called trash talk, was corny as hell prior to the Blades fight.
Josh, did you have an exchange out there with Yuri? What happened?
I'm just letting everybody know how fucking down I am, homie. I'm the downest vato in the world, homie. I'll literally take it down and show everybody, homie, while I take it down, homie. I'm down, dog. I don't care who you are, dog. We could make an open division, homie, and we could all fight, dog. Cutting weights for cowards, homie. Straight up, the down vato doesn't cut. No way, homie. Straight up, dog. Mama, you know who the best is, mama? The Incredible Hulk's the best, mama.
After seeing him go to war in what is not just going to be fight of the year, but honestly, one of the greatest fights of all time, and in my book, the greatest heavyweight fight of all time, you need to take this guy seriously now.
Listen, I'm gonna take out number 4, and I'm gonna saw off his head and put it on Alex Pereira's body, and then I'm gonna take number 3 and stitch it to the ass of number 2, and then I'm gonna take number 2's head and I'm gonna stitch it to the of number 1, creating some type of human centipede where the Incredible Hulk will put it on a leash and walk it in his front yard. Yeah.
Josh Hockit's character is cringe and corny, but the guy puts it all out there in the cage. And the thing is, I don't think we can even call his character cringe anymore when he is flipping off his opponent whenever he gets a chance between throwing combinations at their face. Like, what is more badass than eating shots straight on the chin and then giving your opponent the finger to prove that it didn't do anything? Josh Hockit talks the talk and walks the walk. He is the complete package as a fighter, both in and out of the cage. And now that he's been booked against Derek Lewis at the White House, which is a fight that I predicted would be on the card, by the way, he has the opportunity to get a highlight reel performance on the biggest stage in the history of the sport. And that's why we all need to respect Josh Hockit at this point. Hokit is a clown. He makes an absolute fool of himself in his interviews. He's irritating to listen to, but he makes everybody hyped up to watch him lose. And he repaid all of the fans who hate watched him with a spectacular fight. And the craziest thing about Hokit is that he is only 28 years old. Even if he keeps on going through wars, which I want him to keep doing, he is going to have another 6 to 7 years at the very minimum in his career, if not more, since he's at heavyweight. And while I don't think that Josh Hokit is ever going to be champion at heavyweight, as long as Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane are around, he has the potential to become the #1 action fighter in that division. And that is what heavyweight needs. The UFC heavyweight division has been plagued with boring blobfests for the past 3 years at this point. And the division is so devoid of talent that they're still giving Tai Oink Oink Tuivasa fights despite him being on a 6-fight losing streak. And when it comes to his character, I'm going to be honest, I never truly hated it. I always thought it was corny and cringe, but frankly, I thought it was kind of funny. In the same way that one might find Chris Chan or the modern iteration of iDubbbz to be funny. Josh Hokit is so cringe and so corny on the mic, and you can tell that he's trying so hard to sell his character that it ends up being sort of funny because he's failing so badly at being a heel. And in turn, funnily enough, that ends up making him a bigger heel. And I know that's a difficult perspective to get across, so I'll explain it again this way. Josh Hockit's shtick, where he plays up being a caricature of a Trump-loving, gay-bashing, Kurt Angle-esque heel, is so outdated that everybody hates him for trying to play that character, which in turn fulfills his original goal of playing a pro wrestling heel. In case in point, look at this post that MMA On Point put out prior to the Curtis Blades fight, begging Curtis Blades to get him out of there and fraud check him. I mean, when's the last time when we've seen a guy this hated? People aren't mad at him for what he says. They're mad at him because of how forced it is, which ends up fulfilling his original goal of getting the fans' attention by enraging them. And this kinda makes me think that he's actually a bit of a genius with the character he is playing. He is a master of manipulating people's attention, both inside and outside the octagon. And that is why I'm frankly alright with the UFC giving him the push that he deserves. And it's also why I believe he is going to be the savior of the heavyweight division. But anyways, that's the end of the video. I don't have much else to say, but I genuinely do believe that Josh Hokit is a phenomenal addition to the UFC. Because, love him or hate him, and most likely hate him, he is going to get people legitimately hyped for heavyweight fights again.